morning and welcome to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show today, Tuesday, 13th June 2023. I am your host, Zipporah Michela, joined by my colleague Miriam Kaimba. Today we bring for you nothing but the very best on the community desk, and we're commemorating World Albinism Day. So at 8 hours, we expect to be joined by a guest who's going to represent that community and just tell us what challenges are people with persons with albinism facing. What would they like, to be put up in policies to make sure that they're safe? I'm sure you've heard so many stories, of rituals, of witchcraft, and these people are not safe in many communities. So really, what can we do to dispel the myths? We need, what sensitization can we carry out in schools to make sure that this community is protected? So today we're looking at World Albinism Day at 8 hours, and at 7:30 we're going to be looking at trending issues. So we're going to open our phone lines, and you, our viewers, can call in and discuss various trending issues. But for now, let's just hear what the doctor has for us.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. So this week we are talking about typhoid fever. And yesterday we talked about what is typhoid fever. And we say that typhoid is a diarrheal disease that is caused by a bacteria. Usually there are two types of this bacteria, which we call the Salmonella typhi and the Salmonella paratyphi. So today we'll talk about the risk factors. What are some of the risk factors that predispose people to having this bacteria or to having this infection? So usually it's people who live in places that are overcrowded. So if you live in an overcrowded place, you are at risk of having this bacteria. Usually it's caused by the fecal-oral route, so transmitted through the fecal-oral route. So if you stay with someone who has typhoid and peradventure they haven't washed their hands after using the bathroom or the toilet, and they touch the food that you're going to eat, you can also become infected by the same bacteria. Also, if in the environment there are some sewerage water, they can infect the water that you drink. For example, if you drink tap water or pump water or borehole water, and that water is infected from a nearby sewer or sewerage, you can easily get the bacteria through that route as well. So other ways of getting the bacteria is if somebody shakes hand with another person who has typhoid and their hands are infected, and then they go ahead and touch food and eat the food, they can also become infected with the bacteria. So these are some of the ways of which the bacteria is transmitted, and usually it's in places that are overcrowded. So other risk factors of having this bacteria or having this infection is if you have HIV and AIDS. So people who have HIV are also at risk of getting this infection because their immune cells are compromised, and so they are not able to fight infection very well. Other people who also have other diseases like malaria or schistosomiasis can also get this infection very easily because their immunity is compromised. Also, people who are on long-term corticosteroids, so people who use steroids, can also get the infection very easily because steroids can reduce the response of your immune system. So these are ways in which somebody can get the infection So it's important that you know exactly if you are having symptoms of this infection. So tomorrow we'll talk about some of the symptoms that you need to look out for in case you suspect that you are having typhoid fever. So look out for tomorrow. Make sure you watch again and invite your friends, invite your family. If you miss any episodes, you can always watch my YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nakuyana Mufaya, where you will find all these videos and so many others. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me on Facebook at Dr. Nakuyana Mufaya, and I will be glad to answer or help in any way that I can. I'll see you again next time. Make sure you stay blessed and stay healthy.
Quite interesting. I hope you learned one or two things there. We do appreciate that the doctors have continued coming on board, just to give us those healthy tips. But right about now, we go direct into our money market. We have the United States dollar. They are buying at 19 quarter 43 ngwe and selling at 19 quarter 81 ngwe. We have the euro. They are buying at 20 quarter 92 ngwe and selling at 21.33 ngwe. We have the Great British Pound. They are buying at 24 quarter 37 ngwe and selling at 24 quarter 85 ngwe. We have the South African Rand. They are buying at 1 quarter 05 ngwe and selling at 1 quarter 07 ngwe. On the dollar part, Zippo. Yesterday we saw that the dollar was selling, both on the selling and the buying side. It was at 20 quarter. Now we can see a reduction. It's actually at 19.
You know,
I did say, yeah, I did mention.
It means for people with dollars, it's an appointment to be like, okay, I'll wait for tomorrow.
But I hope some, took my advice. I hope they did change their dollars to kwacha yesterday. But if you didn't, please, they can still change now. It would be so unfortunate if they kept on, their dollars, and then they were waiting, okay, maybe it will go to 21, 23 kwacha, only to be disappointed and find it at 15 kwacha. Or 14. In fact, even 12.
12? That would be dangerous now. That would be dangerous, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, Miriam, we look at some of the stories that made headlines yesterday. Now we did see the equipment of the defense forces, that is the Zambia Air Force, Zambia Army, and the Zambia Air Force as well, and the Zambia National Service rather. And we saw some youth, going at these public newspapers, where they saw public newspapers, and some were disappointed, some were happy, and in the demand of the paper, it even went as high as 100 kwacha yesterday.
Wow.
From 10, so we don't know really if it's just the vendors.
Now.
We don't know if it's just the vendors, but anyway, that was what was happening yesterday. There was so much, pressure, excitement.
No, but I think it's so unfair. Why should the paper be cost 100 kwacha?
I think that's something that they need to investigate. Is it the vendors who are manipulated it?
Yes, I'm sure.
I'm sure it is the vendors.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
Because from the government side, I don't think the government can, deflate the prices. No,
because
it should be the vendors.
They took advantage because they knew everyone wanted to get that paper and see their names or their relatives' names. So
there's been a lady who was telling us, this paper 50 kwacha. If you want, I can just tell you the names for 20 kwacha. Can you imagine? She's like, I can remove the names and give you the list. I didn't know, just wondering, like, if she removes the list, who's going to buy the rest of the paper?
Exactly.
But it should have benefited double either way, even if she just wrote it down, because normally it's 10 kwacha. It should have still benefited normally with just the selling the names.
Consumer exploitation, indeed, it was. But anyway, I did see, something circulating on social media that one of the people was, recruited by the government is Pamela. Yeah.
That was good. And I did see, although Miriam, I don't know if it's just a name, but there was someone who said even the nephew of Dr. Chimba Kambuli has been recruited. So do not know if it's the name, but it seems it was some someone political, so it seems it's someone who actually knows. So I do not know, but if it is, then that is good.
That is good, meaning, you know, the recruitment,
Equality.
yeah, it was equality, there was unity, there was nothing like segregation, we are selecting a few, no. Yeah, yeah, we're glad.
Let's just take a look at that story and just now open our phone lines. Please participate as we discuss various trending issues.
Youth unemployment in Zambia still remains a challenge that the country faces, despite the youth population growing rapidly and the economy struggling to generate enough jobs to absorb this increasing workforce. In the quest to be part and parcel of the opportunities being created, some candidates who applied for the Defence Force recruitment were overtaken by their desperations as names for the successful candidates were published to the newspaper vendors. Business was booming as they paged the publication from 20 kwacha to 100 kwacha, disadvantaging others such as Elijah Daka.
At times of Zambia, I've come to buy a newspaper. I want to check for my names on the list of success applicants for Zambia Air Force. Now the only challenge we have right now is papers are still expensive and they're still in demand. That's the only challenge we have at the moment, otherwise it's very congested here, as you can see this side, and the papers are very expensive.
But for others, hopes are still high as the search continues up to Friday. Some of the applicants are optimistic that the recruitment will be a game changer in ensuring that the standards of living are improved.
So manja pakaende for shaping a foot in the tiasa. Limbi hapa Wednesday limchitoa sangu hapo mwanzo madam. Ile mleka promising mwisho. Kama jina basi tu moyengi ya fuminelo mpaka yetu zangu wangu na kwa wadi kwa wadi zangu wangu. Staili na kadaka siku ya masiku kale tu hapo 15 mama. Shako ya kusuaria shako Zambia polisi tuaisha hapa manjo banda hapa ni nani kana hapa divonse ya pali fresh kasi manje but wala mafia kurorera limbi fide isa ifya next limbi shwa sasa.
During that time it was challenging. The life was challenging, though we have been surviving through farming. Yeah, farming has made us to where we are. But now we are looking forward to checking the things. If there will be a name there and I'll be a successful candidate, I'm looking forward to what the train.
The publication of over 5,000 Defence Force applicants comes as a relief to many young people who wish to improve their lives. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Quite interesting. Quite interesting, but I'm glad, you know, one thing I didn't understand is why others were complaining.
Yeah, because the names are not conclusive. You know, we expect more names to come out Wednesday and Friday.
So others were busy on social media. No, they were not fair. All of my friends I know that applied, you know, I haven't even seen a single name, you know, coming out. It's I don't know.
They're giving hope up too soon. I think we have to wait for Wednesday and Friday, because you imagine
Wednesday is just tomorrow.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Imagine printing out 12,000 names. I'm sure it would not have.
No,
you would have had a bulky newspaper.
It wouldn't, and you know, imagine. So now, the vendors will have another opportunity of selling the paper. Maybe I think this time around it will be even 150.
150. I could find it to be 200. The last batch. But these names can also be found on the Ministry of Defense Facebook page, as well as ZNS page, ZAF page, and Zambia Army page. But I don't know, maybe people just prefer a newspaper.
Please, people take advantage of those platforms and check them in case you don't have that 150 or 100 kwacha that they're going
just
to
check online, ZNS page, ZAF page, and Zambia Army page, as well as the Ministry of Defense. Yeah. That's what the minister said last time. He said we'll publish them on our pages online and in the newspaper. So just do check online and skip that 100 kwacha. Or just ask someone to buy for you, or just buy one newspaper. You put money together. Yeah. You buy one newspaper, then you check together.
But you know what? I think this the consumer protection should come on board.
CCPC.
And CCPC should come on board and just, you know, ensure that this exploitation of consumers.
Because if you should 10 kwacha, why should someone sell it?
Why should someone sell it
at another price?
At another price. That's so unfair. I feel bad on their behalf anyway. I know that someone would want to take advantage and say, no, this is the time to make money. So imagine Zippo, you have maybe 50 papers, and then you're selling them at 100 kwacha, 100 kwacha, 100 kwacha.
You won't have a lot of money.
You're going to have a lot of money indeed. Anyway, moving forward, we saw that you did a story on the UPND Secretary General Batuke Menda, who was, questioning civil servants on why the constituency development funds, projects are not going on and stuff like that. Yeah, maybe just hint us more details before we play that story.
Yes, definitely. So the UPND SG was in Mukushi yesterday. First was in Serenja, then he went to Mukushi, and he's just going around, the constituency checking how the CDF is performing. Now you remember Miriam last week, he was attacked. Not like I say, a political attack by Shiwangandu MP, Stephen Kampingo, who was one of those mentioned as among whose constituencies, are not active when it comes to using CDF. So he was attacked by Stephen Kampingo, as well as the Chitambo MP, because even the Chitambo MP was mentioned saying in his constituency CDF is not being used. And we saw the UPND SG, just coming and defending, saying they are the party government and they'll continue monitoring to make sure that, in fact, they've been saying every citizen can monitor, so anyone who's interested can monitor. So even and then so yesterday we saw him continuing on this monitoring of the project, and he was in Mukushi, but in Serenje, first of all, the CDF was going well. He went to Mukushi where he made a statement that some civil servants are resisting the UPN administration. So he says they resisted us even before we came, and now that we're here, they are still resisting us and trying to frustrate our efforts. So I don't know. So that was what he said. And there was another discovery in Mukushi where, 300,000 kwacha, had been diverted. It was meant for the construction of a school. It was diverted with the purchasing of desks. But those desks were nowhere to be seen either. But it was released and it was not recorded as having been released. So people trying to steal the money. So he actually did tell them that, we don't know why the president even gave you vehicles. It's like sending a thief to catch. So that was the issue that is happening in Mukush. And somehow I think, these visits are good because they're bringing to the fore all these purposes that are happening.
But others would argue that why should the party SG go on ground and start, issuing those directives or warning civil servants and stuff like that? Those would be the arguments. Anyway, we'll leave it. Let's just
the experts.
Exactly. Let us play that clip and we'll come back.
United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda, has continued on his tour of various constituencies across the country to monitor how the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, is being used, despite resistance from members of parliament under the Patriotic Front, who said they do not want him to monitor their constituencies, as he is not from the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, but is from the UPND party. The ruling party has come strong defending the tours, stating that they are the party in government and are therefore mandated to monitor development. Mr. Imenda, along with his entourage, were in Mukushi district of Central Province Monday, where he gave out a message for civil servants.
The PF was not an issue. PF was already beaten, but the civil servants were the one who took us on. Agriculture, the Department of Agriculture was up against us. We haven't forgotten. Our memories are still fresh. Is this what we are seeing, a continued battle with us and the civil servants? I leave that question to you.
Meanwhile, touching on CDF, the UPND Secretary General says he is not happy with some happenings in Mukushi, as the town council has allegedly diverted 300,000 kwacha worth of funds, which were meant for the construction of a primary school, and have channeled the funds towards the purchase of desks, which have also not yet been bought.
People are stepping on the progress that the government is doing. So for you, DC, here we are again, sir.
Yes, sir.
Even your office must make sure that you do not get votes from the council. Your job, you are a presidential appointee.
Yes, sir.
You are the eyes of the president here.
Yes, sir.
Here is the president giving us this nice vehicle,
Yes, sir.
which is not working. In fact, I'm even questioning the wisdom behind giving the council a vehicle to supervise themselves. It means sending a thief to catch a thief.
He has also toured other projects in Mukushi, such as health posts, and was earlier in Serenje district, where he's happy with the progress of the CDF.
The scope of work for this project was the completion, which included the painting, and as well as installing window panes and doing the ablution, and also doing power connection to this block. It was already constructed by the school, so as through CDF, it was to complete, and it was given an allocation of 250,000.
Kuno kutazala twalichule emyaka eyindi mukwabuka enchita y'amayinza abaana balafira okwabuka okuya ku masukulu tulafira okuya ku market fyonse fyaba kwishirya nomba ikituletotera kuli ba president bakainde ichirema pakulete ECD hevu kubantu abene baleifuaile fya kuya pantanshi.
The party is currently in Central Province to check on development projects and party structures. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News. Quite interesting. You're sending a thief to catch a thief. Our phone lines are open. We're discussing trending issues. Please call us on the numbers that are scrolling on your screen, or leave us a message on Facebook. Don't even have words I can see.
No, Zippo, I'm trying to, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but in your own observation, do you think we should have, like party officials start monitoring, going around to monitor the CDF thing and stuff?
But I think like they say, I don't know, they said that the party in office, they promise people that, and their concern is to work if government officials are busy with other duties. They say as the parties are going to monitor. So, and they say in fact other citizens can monitor. So, believe it at that, I don't know.
Well, I'm glad that they said other citizens can monitor, because, at the end of the day, we don't want to see a situation where others will feel, okay, they are personalizing the thing as if it's not for the entire country or entire nation, for everyone. We don't want to see that situation at the end of the day. Yeah, but if they came on board and say any other citizen can monitor, we welcome that move. Yeah.
And some people have even called for the formation of a task force that will monitor CDF implementation. And I think that task force would come in handy. Remember like what happened in Mukushi there. Of course we've got the vehicles, but they're monitoring themselves. But if we had a special task force just to go in each constituency, how CDF being monitored, I think we're going to see something, fruitful at the end of the day, than just depending on councils themselves.
And independent.
You've seen what has happened.
That is what we need.
Yes, independent.
We don't want someone who is aligned to the ruling party, no. Because my fear is maybe in a constituency where someone who is coming from the ruling party, is governing that constituency, and then in an event they misuse the funds. Do you think there will be proper accountability for those funds? No, so we need a task force which is independently. Yeah.
So do call us and participate. So, Miriam, another issue that yesterday is the government Chief Whip, Honorable Stafford Solwezi, Central Member of Parliament. We do have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You're through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You're talking to Mr. Como from Kapiri.
It's good to know that Kapiri is watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Just wanted to contribute about this Mr. Imenda's tour. He's just contributing to more chaos. A political party cannot be monitoring government projects. Zambia didn't elect that man. That man was an elected person where he can go around the country checking on those. We've got people who elected to do those jobs. Let him sit on mobilizing his party or telling his MPs they need to go and check that, they need to go and do that, not him doing it. He's just going to bring chaos. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your contribution.
Okay.
All right, and I think, Miriam, that's one thing that we have to ask our UPND today. Is it okay for youth, the concern that we heard youth being directed to go and monitor health facilities as well? Health facilities.
UPND youth.
Yes, to health facilities, the CDF. So So I think we need to ask, the UPND top leaders today, and just ask, do they think this is the step in the right direction?
Yeah, because these are the concerns that we've continued receiving from various stakeholders, that we cannot have party members coming from the ruling party start monitoring these projects, the constituency development funds. These are government projects. Okay, those are the fears that in an event, we let this continue to happen, it will be chaos. Just like we saw Mr. Imenda now start questioning Shuangandu area member of parliament. So those are the concerns that people have. But anyway, we are glad that they're coming on board, still Zipporah, to ensure that these funds are utilized in a proper manner for the intended purpose, yes. But are they doing it in the right way? Those are the questions now. Yeah.
But anyway, Miriam, we did see another story yesterday, which actually also emanated from the press briefing by the PF on Friday. Where they were saying, before we are arrested, we need Parliament to know. That was the demand from MPs, saying, we've been undergoing various arrests. So before you arrest an MP, notify Parliament, because it means during that time there's a gap. The constituency members are not represented.
Like what happened to Mandevo area member of Parliament, Christopher Shakafuso. Yeah, even last time we saw from Munia, Lumezi independent area member of Parliament, Munia Zulu.
Yeah, so they were saying every time, you want to arrest us, you need to notify Parliament and all that, because, we also work under instructions, we represent our people. So those were the demands, and, they also bemoaned various arrests, and, they have alleged, let me just use the word allegedly, myself somewhere else. And they also have, even though I was there, you know what I mean? I was at the press briefing. So they were alleged, and they have been allegedly, claiming that only certain people, are being arrested from a certain region. But Miriam, this issue of the so-called tribalism in Zambia, do you think it is a real fight, or it's just being perpetrated by politicians, in your opinion?
I think it's just perpetrated by politicians.
I don't think on the ground that is the issue. Will someone say before Chima with you, they'll say, what language are you?
What language are you? No, I don't.
I don't think it's just used to gain political mileage. I don't think it's
which
real.
shouldn't be the fact. Anyway, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You're speaking to Mr. Makumbu, calling you from Livingston.
It's good to know that Livingston is watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, I want to talk about Mr. Imenda and the UPND as a party. The issue of visiting projects that does not belong to their political party. Mr. Imenda is a cadre of the UPND, CDA for government projects. In what capacity? Why is he not going round organizing his political party than speaking about or talking to civil servants? Who is he in government? This is confusion, it's total chaos, and it should not be entertained at all costs. I'm following your program. My sister there, Mushara, seemed to be entertaining the idea. That is chaos. Where we are heading to is total chaos. These party cadres should not get involved in government. That must be stopped at all costs. It's a wrong thing to do. It's something that we should not continue with. That man, Mr. Imenda, and what he's doing will bring trouble in this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your contribution, sir.
Yeah, Miriam, I've been accused of entertaining the idea, but I can't give my opinion. You can't give your opinion. We're just stating the way things are. Then the callers can call in, or the experts can comment. As journalists, we give this side and we give that side, and we leave it there. We're not supposed to say, I condemn this in the strongest terms. No, that is not our duty. Our duty is just to give the information. So we have given the story, and people are free to comment as they please.
Exactly.
Before I get in trouble,
and just give us your view on what you think about the tour that the UPND Secretary General is making across the country, visiting these constituencies, just to monitor if the constituency development funds are being utilized for the intended purpose. Yeah, give us your thoughts. And those watching us live on Facebook, please drop us a message and we'll be able to read them through. As per earlier on, you were mentioning about the story of, how the Patriotic Front are alleging that, the arrests are being made on a certain particular region. Yeah.
Oh, yes. So and yesterday we saw the government chief whip, just holding a press briefing to respond to these issues. And Miriam, I'm going to cover that press briefing, and just from the way the press briefing began, there was that authority, just from the time when the chief whip walked in, I could just sense the anger, No, I've been silent for too long. No, the PF and all that. But anyway, he did allude to, he did call for unity in the country, saying, the silence when all these things keep happening is just dividing the country further. So he's saying, the opposition keep, saying these things over and over again. They go on social media, they hold press briefings, they repeat the same in parliament, and at the end of the day, you find that the country is being divided. So he says, as a chief whip, he has been silent over the matter. But I did pose a question, asking, is there any action as the chief whip, because it's the disciplinary wing in parliament. So, but he did indicate, saying the only action is his call for citizens to propose stiffer punishment to tribalism and hate speech.
I think when we talk about tribalism and hate speech, I think that is something that we have already passed on, and we don't want to, continue having this topic.
And I think that's why we have the one Zambia, one nation motto.
I think it's bringing just one confusion. What is the spirit of Ubuntu? Yeah, anyway, let's get direct into playing that story, and we'll continue with our discussion when we come back.
On Friday, 9th June 2023, members of parliament from the former ruling Patriotic Front at a press briefing bemoaned the continuous arrest of themselves without the notification of parliament on various issues, stating that they would petition parliament on the issue, explaining that the constituency members were left without representation in parliament during their arrests. Also among the complaints was the alleged arrest of political officials from certain regions in the country, which they viewed as tribalism. Government Chief Whip in the National Assembly, Stafford Mulusa, addressed the issue, stating that it has gone out of hand as some opposition MPs have been bemoaning ethnic cleansing, which he says is not the real picture on the ground. Mr. Mulusa has called for unity in the country, stating that the named individuals have taken advantage of silence from his office.
Whereas it is very important to notify Parliament that this is the case that is there on a member of Parliament. There are times when we are in our constituencies, when Parliament is in recess. How are the police going to work? If they start with Parliament, meantime you are in Mpulungu, meantime you are in Storage Central, meantime you are in Mitete. The law is the law. I want us all to remember that peace is very important in the country. Peace is very, very important in the country. When you start talking about tribalism, ethnic cleansing, start accusing people of being selective, start accusing the police, that even the police, they're actually tribal, because only police from one section of Zambia is following members of parliament. That is not true.
Other members of parliament present, namely UPND Luwena MP Mubita Anakoka, UPND Mpulungu MP Leonard Mbao, and Independent Chasefu MP Mishak Nyambose, also spoke out.
I fear we may break that which our forefathers fought for. When we talk about ethnical cleansing, it's a very strong statement or word. For me, I had to reflect. What do we mean by ethnical cleansing? What has happened? Who have been targeted?
We have seen that a pattern is emerging where, first of all, there was a report by one political leader that sought to paint the Anti-Corruption Commission as being a tribal institution. And they picked names of about 5 individuals out of over 200 employees. 5 individuals were named, and they gave their names, with the intention to suggest or to insinuate that because these 5 individuals belong to particular tribes, therefore they are pursuing cases that are also influenced by tribal motives.
Northern Province rejected the PF and their politics. UPND, we got 51% votes in Northern Province.
They have vowed to face opponents head-on, stating that some individuals are taking advantage of their silence to perpetuate falsehoods. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. Very, very interesting there. Just contribute to the topic here. We're discussing trending issues, and at 8 hours we're going to be joined by a guest as we discuss World Albinism Day. Today is that day when we just get to shine a light on persons with albinism. What challenges do they face, and what could be some of the solutions, including safety in communities? Do we have enough awareness? What can we do to reduce stigmatization of persons with albinism? But just now, before our guest joins us, we're still discussing trending issues, and we just played a story from the government Chief Whip Stafford, Honorable Stafford Mulusa, and other UPND MPs, as well as Chasefu Independent MP there, who are just talking about the alleged disunity in the country. What is your take on the current state of unity in the country's political sector?
Interesting. And earlier on we did play a story from the UPND, Secretary General Batuke Menda,
which has brought a lot of hot debates.
Chile. Is it all right for him to go around the constituency and monitor these CDF projects, how the funds are being utilized? Is it in order for him to go? Yes, we know, people are saying yes, we know it's a good move, but is he doing that in a good way? In the right direction anyway, rather, in the right manner? Is he using rather the correct channel? And we did see on Sunday, this one is so directing the UPND youths to go across the country and monitor these projects.
And health facilities. Do give us a call on the numbers that are scrolling on the screen. And anyway, Miriam, your thought on the story from the government chief whip? I can see speechless. And
trust me, because something, I have seen from my observation, Zippo, why I'm speechless? Because it's the back and forth, the blame game all the time.
I think this is
Do
the
you
first
think
time
it was
this
necessary
year
to start bringing the tribalism issue, the what? I don't know.
But anyway, according to the government chief whip, he says I've been forced to speak because it keeps coming up. I've been silent for too long. And I think it was the first time I heard the press briefing by the government chief whip this year.
Yeah, I think so.
I think you're just like, okay, today I need to tell them.
But yeah, even from both parties, anyway, when we talk about, the biggest opposition political party that we have in the country, which is the party at the moment, we as a citizen, as a country, we do not expect them, to start talking much about tribalism and all other sort of things. Same applies to the current administration. These are something that we have already said we are done with. Okay, as a country, we are done with it. We are forging ahead. It's the spirit of unity that we have channeled in us. So if we are going to start talking about tribalism and all other stuff, what is the end result? Division in the country, which we don't want to see.
That the more you talk about it, But anyway, he did mention saying maybe, I've been silent. Then they're talking about. So I don't know really what we need to do as a country for us to just focus on development.
I think we should put an end to this.
We stop hearing anything to do with tribalism.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Morning, madam. How are you?
We are fine, thanks, sir. How are you?
We are good. I'm calling you from Solwezi.
It's good to know that Solwezi is watching us this morning. May we know who we are talking to?
This is Mutale.
Yes, Mr. Mutale, please go ahead with your contribution.
Madam, I want to contribute over Mr. Batuke Menda.
Please go ahead.
I think the man is right to go around to see what is happening so that they can support the vision of the president. Yes, he's right. Nothing wrong with that. He's not interfering with the treasurer. wrong with that. That is my contribution, madam.
Thank you so much
for contribution.
Different views. Different views. Different words. Anyway, we are glad that people are coming on board to give us exactly what they think about this particular situation, Zipporah. Anyway, in case you're watching us in the comfort of your home, please do call us in. And those watching us live on Facebook, call us in and give us your contribution on some of the trending issues that we are looking at right now. One of the stories that we earlier played where the UPND Secretary General, Batuke Menda, is going around the constituencies just to monitor how these projects under the CDF are being utilized and are being, done. Yeah.
Definitely. And Miriam, just now transition into our topic. We're discussing World Albinism Day. Now, Miriam, there have been a number of stories that we've carried out on, persons with albinism. And, earlier on during the year, we heard stories from the Zambia police, which even involved some teachers. I think you remember that story.
Yeah, that the teacher had gotten one pupil and then took him somewhere, was trying to sell the child to Tanzania or something.
Yeah, so I do have the story here, Miriam. Maybe I'll just read the police statement. So to observe, we now have transitioned from various trending issues to our main topic, which is World Albinism Day. So just, highlighting, persons, the plight of persons living with albinism, as well as the positives, Miriam. It's not always, the negative part. There are also, success stories, that someone can actually learn from. Like how we've been talking about the girl child. You should not always depict the girl child in a negative light, but also in a positive light. So even for persons with albinism, we should also depict them in a positive light. And so we have this story, Miriam, which was done on, in fact, a statement from the Zambia police on February 6th, and that was from Danny Mali, the deputy police public relations officer, and the statement read, "Police in Mongu have spotted a ploy and arrested 12 suspects who attempted to sell a 17-year-old school for the blind who lives with albinism. Police recovered some medicine which was labeled as Davasam, which after interrogations, it was heard from the suspects that the medicine was intended to be given to the victim once captured." So I think this was some medicine like to make them unconscious or something. Police also recovered 12 cell phones which were used for communication by the suspect, meaning it was more like, a network. Miriam, imagine 12 cell phones were discovered. Investigations revealed that a plot to traffic a named albino who is a learner at Sefula Combined School for the Blind in Mongu district of Western Province began in October 2022, and a picture of the victim was sent to the purported buyers in Lusaka. In Lusaka, where everything happens. Police intercepted the operation and arrested the 12 suspects, who include 4 teachers, including a school matron aged 53, a nurse aged 33, a taxi driver, and 2 men who work in a barber shop in Sefula of Mongo district. The suspects were all picked on February 4th, 2022 between 01 hours and 04 hours in Sefula of Mongo district. Investigations have heightened and all the suspects are detained in police custody. That is a statement. And I wonder how that case is going.
Anyway, we'll try to follow up with the police.
Now imagine, where there's a taxi driver, there are teachers, there's a nurse,
it tells you that it was a well-planned thing.
And there are 12 cell phones involved.
Yeah, it was a well-planned thing. But one thing, there's need for education to ensure that we provide accurate information on albinism, because there are a lot of myths where someone say, no, if you get their hair, a piece of hair, a finger, and stuff like that, you take it to a witch doctor, you become rich and stuff like that. So there's need for, for more people, various stakeholders to come on board and educate people, provide people with accurate information with regards to this, raising awareness about this issue. Yeah.
Say and I don't even know, are those things true? I think these issues of
that's why we're saying they're myths.
these issues of witch doctors, are bringing a lot of problems. So I find,
Exactly.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Secretary General.
Good morning. Who are we talking to?
Is monitoring the constituency development in the whole country. Menda is the party of the ruling. And the money which is monitoring sincerely is a government which the UPND brought it up. The PF didn't, they had nothing to do with they couldn't even put a lot of you see women, and the environment of the structures in the parties and in the countries as well. So it starts a cry for those those PF. They are crying, they know that this CDF, they have no way out. They will, the PF were put off. Please, at no point, all the PF just sit down and then wait the government will make trust they want the people to rehear and to persuade. But
it seems like we're losing connection there, but Zipporah, we seem to have, gotten what he was trying to communicate, saying that the UPND party SG is in order to, to go around in this constituency and monitor these projects. And we have different people again who have called us saying, no, there's need to separate party activities from government activities. Anyway, we're talking about urbanism. Please do call us in. You can contribute. You can still contribute over the clip we played on the UPND SG, as well as what we're talking about urbanism this time. Raising awareness about this issue. Hello, good morning.
We do have a caller.
Hello, good morning. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller.
Ma'am, we have also another statement from police which happened on 9th June. So this was this was on Friday last week. Where a 41-year-old person with albinism, was kidnapped. So this was just this Friday, and priced at 500,000 kwacha.
Wow.
So this shows you that this is a very big problem that requires stiffer punishment, because it has become like another way of business now. Person with albinism are no longer safe. Imagine Miriam walking and everyone is seeing you as a potential source of money. You're also trying to hustle on your own, and so it's crazy. But yeah, so I'll just read the statement. So this is from Mr. Ray Hamonga. This was released on Friday. And the statement reads, police have charged and arrested 5 suspects for 2 counts of human trafficking contrary to the laws of Zambia. Brief facts of the matter are that Kebi Chanyanga, aged 40, of Malone Village of Chief Mukuni, Malone Village in Chief Mukuni, and Justin Mukata of Simwami Village in Zimba District, Alfred Sialubaba, aged 45, of house number 175 of Maloni in Livingstone, are alleged to have attempted to traffic a male person aged 41 living with albinism. It is believed that they priced him at 500,000 kwacha. This incident occurred on 9th June 2023 at a named guest house in Kalomo district of Southern Province of the Republic of Zambia. In the second count, the 4 suspects are alleged to have jointly and while acting together attempted to traffic a male juvenile aged 16, a grade 10 pupil of Kalomo district, who's also a person living with albinism. This occurred on 3rd June 2023 between 16 hours and waiting 18 hours in Mawaya compound of Kalomo district in Southern Province. The 5 accused persons are all in custody and will appear in court soon in Kalomo district. So the first tried to traffic a 41-year-old man with albinism, and then a 16-year-old boy with albinism, a grade 10 people. Meaning when they go to school, they're not safe.
No, they're not safe indeed. Anyway.
I think this needs a moment of silence. It's just so disturbing, Miriam. It's so disturbing. You know, a child is going to school, and they're actually being targeted, you know. It's a serious. I think we've been taking this casually.
Yeah,
and we hear from our
I
experts.
think there's no much advocacy on this, you know, to address this issue.
It's a bigger problem. It's a very big problem, but you know, I think it's all about today's World Albinism Day. You know, know your rights. This. But I think we need, you know, those strong policies.
Yeah, because there's no way, Zipporah, you're just walking by yourself, and then someone is targeting you and say, okay, if I sell this person, I kidnap this person, I sell them, I'll make a lot of money.
And I've heard of stories, Miriam. The other time there was a story, there was also a police statement, I've just forgotten the date, of a girl, you know, whose hand was
Yeah.
while she was sleeping.
While she was sleeping, yes.
The hand, imagine.
That tells you something. And you know, that also brings us back to the issue. What is the root cause? Why are people, you know, kidnapping, have this desire of kidnapping people with albinism? Okay? This is something that we should start questioning. The traditional healers, witch doctors, anyway, to say, who will tell you no. Anyway, let me pick up this call before I finish my thoughts. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mami.
Morning.
I just want to make comment on the Benda, Secretary General of the party. He's monitoring the government project. And that government project has nothing to do with the PF. This PF, they are really sarcastic. They didn't want this problem at all costs.
Thank you so much. Who are we talking to? Hello?
We seem to have lost that caller.
It seems like his line is very bad, it's network issues. Yes, before I lose my thought, what I was saying, you know, why should we have a witch doctor, you know, telling you, no, kidnap this person with a type of genetic, you know, condition because if you kidnap them, you'll be rich also. Where is this notion coming from?
I think, you know, something like life imprisonment, that would be the way forward.
I think for me, in my basically opinion, I would suggest we start dealing with the root cause. When people go to these witch doctors, what are they telling?
And this has also been attributed as, you know, the major cause of defilement.
Yes.
You're told, no, if you're a girl, you'll be rich and all that.
You'll be rich, you'll be cured from HIV and AIDS. Those are the stories that we hear. But are they true? No, they are not. Those are not facts.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah, because, so, you know, that tells us something that if we do not deal with the root cause, I think this issue is going to continue. Yeah.
And maybe, Miriam, just as we wait for our case, we just play a story that was done by Beatrice on, you know, the plight of persons with albinism, and this one was the particular case in Sefula district. Oh, we do have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, panelists. Kangwa from Angola.
It's good to know that Angola is watching. Please go ahead.
Yes, I want to comment on the stance that the UPND government has made to say the cadres should go and check the CDF project. But my question is, those cadres that they are saying they should go and check the monitor the CDF project, are they employed by the government to go and monitor, or are they part of the CDF group that is going to monitor those projects?
Anyway,
That's my contribution.
thank you so much for your contribution. Just to clear thought here, government did not say, UPND party members should go out there in the community, in different constituencies and monitor, these CDF projects. It was that directive, rather, it's coming from UPND officials, party officials who are saying, our youth should go across the country and monitor these projects. Yeah, just to make that clear, it's not government anyway who has directed. No, they haven't done that. Yeah.
So from the party.
From the party.
And Miriam, so in our discussion, just for viewers out there, we have transitioned. We're now discussing World Albinism Day, so you can just go in and contribute on the plight of persons with albinism. What myths have you heard out there, which you feel are disadvantaging this community and need to be, reversed? And so just now, take a look at a story from one of our colleagues, Beatrice Chabaya, who did a story with Mr. John Chiti, a story from Stefula district.
The last census conducted showed that Zambia had about 25,324 people with albinism who sadly continue to live in fear despite the efforts by the government to promote their welfare, including prohibiting racial discrimination and brutal attacks. The cases of albino killings in Zambia seem to be on the rise again, with neighboring Tanzania believed to be the main business hotspots, where, according to the Red Cross, witch doctors pay up to $75,000 for a complete set of albino parts. The latest incident in Zambia happened in Mongu, Western Province, where police blocked a ploy and arrested 12 suspects who attempted to sell a 17-year-old albino male student of Sefula Combined School for the blind. And John Chiti, Commissioner for Zambia Police Service and Technical Advisor on Disability, is concerned that the problem has persisted not only in Zambia but across the region.
Now, people with albinism are targeted simply for their body parts because of misconceptions that their body parts or body parts of people with albinism can be used for rituals and to bring wealth and things like that. They are targeted and they are attacked. And in this case, we are seeing that children are not spared. Pupils, young boys and girls, including adults, are being targeted and attacked and killed for their body parts. It is also sad to note that such cases are involving close people to people with albinism. Well, the main question is, are the attacks happening? Well, the attacks are happening, and I want to caution families to people with albinism, including people with albinism themselves, that when it is quiet, when we don't record any attack, it doesn't mean that the attacks have stopped. The attacks are there.
Human rights advocate Christopher Shalwabala calls for punitive measures against the perpetrators of atrocities against the albinism community.
So investigations that have been instituted by the Zambia Police Service is a welcome move, though I would have loved a situation where before this incident occurs, we have a mechanism where these cases are supposed to be detected. In Zambia, we've got a wing so-called detectives for plain police officers here in this country. I tend to wonder why we always rush to arresting perpetrators after the life of an innocent albino boy has been lost. To me, I think as an advocate of human rights, it's not enough. I would have loved, first of all, to have measures being put in place so that this precious life, innocent life, could have been preserved.
It is a known fact that persons with albinism fail to enjoy the various rights enshrined in the Constitution. Hence, it is government to change the prevailing circumstances. Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
According to the Zambia Statistics Agency ZamStats, Zambia has over 30,000 people with albinism. The lives of this group of people is, however, constantly at risk as they are allegedly being hunted down for suspected ritual activities. The Albinism Foundation of Zambia has called for enhanced efforts from stakeholders to reduce these incidents, stating that this is a violation of human rights. Speaking during a conference aimed at raising awareness on the challenges being faced by this group of people on Wednesday, disability rights advocate Mr. John Chiti says the organization has currently flown out 5 children whose arms were amputated to the United States of America in order for them to be given prosthetic arms.
The 5 kids are coming from different parts. We have one child who is coming from Chasefu, from Eastern Province. He's just about 10 years. He was attacked and he lost a finger. And we have another child who is coming from Northern Province, Mpulungu. She's the youngest. She's 3 years now. She was attacked when she was 2. She lost the left hand. And we have another boy who is coming from Northern Province again, Mpulungu. He's about 12 years. He also lost the hand. He was attacked and the left hand was chopped off. And also another girl from Chama who was attacked and the hand was chopped off. We don't know. The hands, they seem to be, I don't know, the hands, they seem to be on demand because many of the victims are losing hands. Here in Zambia, we have got cases where the uncle is the uncle is prosecuted. We have one case from Northern Province where the uncle has been even sentenced to some years in prison because he was involved in the attack. We have incidents where the father, the husband, so it becomes very tricky for the cases to be reported in such a way.
Meanwhile, under the same Son, a partner organization says the church will step in providing psychological support to the victims. Organization founder Mr. Peter Ash was speaking during the same conference.
Sometimes for survivors in rural areas, it's difficult for them to access proper or frequent psychological care. We do believe that the churches can also play a role. When we were in Chongwei, we spoke at a church there which pledged their support for people with albinism in the community. And in my experience in Tanzania, we found out that if we engage in local churches, pastors, church leaders, church members can also take in people with albinism who are marginalized, who may be orphans. So we believe that church members and leaders can play a part in giving spiritual counseling, which can also assist in their recovery.
The organizations further add that there is need to make sunscreen readily available for free in public hospitals, as the same is currently fetching between 75 kwacha to 300 kwacha depending on the size of the bottle, which most people cannot afford on a regular basis. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka. That was a quite interesting story there. So that was Mr. John Titi. They're just raising, awareness. And just now we have been joined by our guest, Mr. Maseka Limai, who is the president of the Albinism for Change in Africa Initiative Organization and the vice chairperson of the organizing committee of the IAAD Day. What does the IAAD Day mean?
Okay, thank you so much. The IAAD Day means the International Albinism Awareness Day. So
which is today.
Yeah, which is today. Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So basically, it's the day when we celebrate the albinism in general. We celebrate some of the major achievements, some of the milestones that we've played as a community, as well as get to highlight some of the challenges that our people faces in the community. Definitely.
Talking about some of the challenges that you face, we have received even just statement coming from the police on several occasions. Yeah. People living with albinism, getting several attacks. Yeah. Because of the notion that people have that if you get their body parts and stuff like that, you take it to a witch doctor, you'll be rich and stuff like that. Do you think? So far we are talking about your safety, in addressing your safety. Have we seen, much things being done to ensure that your safety is secured?
Okay, I must definitely mention that there is a lot of work that has to be done. We have seen a political will from the New Dawn administration, especially in protecting and safeguarding the lives of persons with albinism. But we must put it to point that we are not doing a lot of prevention. Much of the things that we see happening in our community is only done after an attack has been done. However, a lot of things are not done in order to safeguard the lives of people. And I can definitely be able to assure you that we are at a risk of experiencing more and more of this, because some of these cases that happen, you discover that they'll be investigated today, arrests are going to be made tomorrow, but few months after now, it will die a sudden death. which is obviously going to leave room for more, cases to come to play. So I feel that we need to strengthen our legal, institutions. The Zambia police has to be given capacity that not only should they be able to arrest, but such cases should be seen, should face the litigation measures. People must go into court. Punitive measures must be taken, and obviously, at the end of the day, obviously, a message will be sent out. On the part of our organizations, I feel that we need to do more sensitization, more awareness, and that speaks to the nature of this day as the International Albinism Awareness Day, where we echo our sentiments to the government that more measures have to be taken into place, security measures, not only at the litigation level, but at the prevention measure of at the prevention level of society. So we must look at where we have persons with albinism, what are some of the strategies that we can employ that are tangible in nature to be able to map our people, ensure that they are safe and secure in their societies where they stay and in their communities. So basically that is what I definitely feel has to be done by the government and society.
So far, have we seen any cases, where someone can say, where, other people can learn from, and say, oh, this is a case that happened, and this person was arrested, they were taken to court, and they were sentenced for this number of years. Are there any that you feel you can point at right
Okay, unfortunately, I'm coming from a legal background. I'm a law student myself, and I've taken much interest in looking at most of these cases. Unfortunately, there are very, very, separated cases where you can pinpoint and say this person was arrested, sentences was given, and obviously they are serving. And much of the things that we hear about, as I alluded to earlier, is that arrests will be made, and after a few months, you hear these people have been given bail, these people have been released because obviously maybe lack of evidence. So that is where we need to now strengthen our, protective measures in terms of investigating crimes, gathering evidence on what happened, what transpired, and ensuring that there is a litigation process followed after.
Definitely quite interesting. In case you are joining us, we are discussing World Albinism Day, where we're raising awareness on challenges being faced by persons with albinism, or rather success stories as well, because it can be success stories and challenges. So when it comes to, like earlier we were playing a story there, where we heard that things like sunscreen are not, really affordable in Zambia. What is the situation when it comes to that? And do you feel people are able to feel the plight of persons with albinism?
Okay. I would love to address that by obviously maybe speaking to the core of the theme, which is inclusion is strength. I think up to at this rate, we are encouraging the government to put up measures that are more inclusive in nature. You see, sunscreen is a necessity to us. It's not really a want, it's a need. All right? Because when we do not have sunscreen, what we have is increased cases of cancer, skin cancer, which obviously when it reaches at a stage, it can't be cured. And unfortunately, on a sad note, we are actually mourning one of us. Imagine celebrating an event while you're mourning one. So obviously today we are burying someone, yet we are also celebrating. And it speaks to the reason why the government must not only get sunscreen, but they must involve disability organizations, organizations that deal with persons with albinism. Ask them, what do we need? Which sunscreen do you think we can be able to buy? We come to the table so that our voices can be heard. Because you discover that some of these things are very expensive, they're rare, and sometimes you'll be using a sunscreen which is not okay, which is not good for you. At the end of the day, you still get cancer even when there is sunscreen. So I feel that the government should be able to come to table with us, include us in policy and decision making, so that we can be able to say this is what we need at this particular time, and this is how we can create a roadmap in order to safeguard the lives and the health of our people.
Yes. Let's talk about the stigma and discrimination that people with albinism faces. Especially, I'll give an example. You'll find a girl child coming from maybe Mrs. Compound or John Lengo, a boy child, and then they have albinism, and then they face the stigma and discrimination. How have we seen, you know, certain programs put in place to ensure that, you know, you sensitize on people, they understand what this is all about, you raise awareness?
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. I think that's a beautiful question. One of the things that we have been doing as, you know, albinism organizations is to ensure that we look at programs that will sensitize the people on albinism. And I'm sure you have been able to see the tireless work that has been done by some of our top activists, like our very own commissioner, Mr. John Chiti. We see them doing a great, you know, job in ensuring maybe they do a song, they do videos, as well as our cooperating partners like the Albinism Foundation of Zambia. You're able to see them go into communities where they can, you know, screen movies on some of the myths around albinism. So we have programs that are targeted at sensitizing the people. And now, as an organization, we are using social media, which is Facebook, to ensure that we run campaigns and programs that will just, you know, that will bring to light what albinism is and some of the success stories. Like within our organization, I can attest to you that there are people, we have within our organization a student who is actually doing her, you know, doctorate in medicine, which is something to be, you know, we have a mathematician, an environmentalist, we have you know, someone who, you know, graduated from the Copperbelt University just a few years ago with you know, a bachelor's in environmental engineering. So all those are some of the stories that we're trying to highlight, pinpoint, so that they can be able to, you know, destroy that perception that these people cannot do this. And by the way,
you are a law student.
I'm a law
That
student.
is a success story.
Yeah, and I'm going to pass Ziale, by the way.
You are going to pass.
You're going to pass indeed.
Definitely on the first attempt.
And we wish you the best of luck.
Definitely, thank you. So obviously, when we pinpoint some of these stories, people will begin to relate. And people will begin to say, oh, can we have a person with albinism doing law? And obviously, it's important that the media should also be, you know, encouraged and embraced to ensure that they also amplify our voice, because we cannot do this on our own. So I feel that the media can also play a very, you know, pivotal role in ensuring that our voices are heard, our voices are amplified. So basically, to answer your question, we are running campaigns to ensure that we sensitize the people on what albinism is. And by the way, just when I was coming, a conductor looked at me and said, "Oh, I'm gonna be rich." I told him to say, "You are lying.
He said,
you're going to be poor." Sorry.
What did he say?
He said after looking at me, he said, "I'm going to be so rich because you're in my bus." And I told him,
No. That should be, you know, regarded as hate speech. Something that should be arrested.
But you know, he was so comfortable when he was.
No.
He was speaking.
Because these are the myths around.
That's what we were actually discussing earlier. You know, where on Friday, the police spokesperson, Ray Amonga, I'm sure you know him, released a statement of someone who was trafficked in Zit Western province, and it was priced at 500,000. So those are the myths that we need to destroy.
So I rebuked him then. I said, no, you're not going to be rich.
Why should someone fear, you know, to do their daily activities?
Imagine. So it's just good that we have a level of exposure. So I counseled him and I told him to say, my friend, just work hard. You're not going to be rich.
Interesting.
Definitely.
But you know, this notion that people keep on having that, no, if you do this, you're going to be rich and stuff like that, it's high time that, you know, we educate and sensitize people.
Definitely.
It's quite sad that, you know, still we are in the 21st century and people still have this notion, this mindset.
Right.
And
I really think maybe to change that mindset, we need to be, you know, carrying more success stories. Because every time you hear a person with albinism, it's always the vulnerable part. We need to hear, for example, you yourself as a lawyer, we need to hear more stories of people.
More stories, yes.
Like you going forward. But really, in terms of persons in decision-making positions, do you feel represented? Maybe, for example, cabinet and all that. Do you feel represented?
As I had earlier, you know, stated, I think we have seen, you know, with the ushering in of the new Dawn administration, we have seen so much political will, and we cannot, you know, forget to pinpoint some of the success stories, including the appointment of our very own commissioner. I think it should be applauded. However, we cannot say this should be the end. I believe this should be the starting point. Because within our community, I believe there are a lot of great minds, there are a lot of great thinkers, and when we're talking about inclusion, we're not only talking about inclusion in terms of making policies that deals with persons with albinism. We're saying include us in positions of influence. We're saying include us in decision making in the educational sector. You know, include us in all the policies. We want to be heard, because it's not really common that you see, you know, representation from the albinism or even the disability community when it comes to, you know, decision making of you know, policies that are technical in nature, maybe to influence the trajectory of the country. It is quite rare, but that is why today we are saying include us in every policy, in every decision. We want to also be part of building the community and building our society.
What are some of the highlights of World Albinism Awareness Day? What are some of the things that you want to be heard on this day?
First of all, we would love the government to ratify and domesticate what we are calling the African Disability Protocol. Now, the African Disability Protocol is basically a document that highlights the unique challenges that persons with albinism face. When you look at most of our, you know, legal documents that look at, you know, educating persons with educating or addressing issues, the plight of persons with albinism, we don't have so much detail on what can be done to protect and safeguard the lives of people. But at international level, we have got an instrument called the albinism, the Disability Protocol, which highlights some of the major challenges and pinpoints some of the ways and strategies the government can use to eradicate stigma, to eradicate discrimination, to obviously deal with some of the myths around, as well as some of the steps the government can take to protect the lives of persons with albinism. The second thing we would love to pinpoint is that we would love the government to ensure they help us, because we are losing lives. And you know, it's different when someone is talking about issues that only affect, you know, one facet of life. But I came to realize that for us, it's life and death. When you look at skin cancer, it's life and death. When you look at ritual attacks, it's life and death. When you look at stigma and discrimination, this is mental health issues, life and death. So obviously, we are just amplifying our voice to tell the government that can we be heard. And if funding could be allocated, if an action plan can be allocated to ensure that we protect lives, because each and every individual has got the right to life, fundamentally so, and it has to be protected at every cost. It's better we don't lose life than losing one life and then we are regretting, we come to TV, we speak. Let us implement some of the strategies and measures to protect before we lose. So obviously that is the summarized version of what we are calling upon the government to do for us at this stage.
In fact, we have one message from our people who are watching us live on Facebook. Mr. Waria Melu says, how do we get in touch with this organization to hear more and see possible areas we can help?
All right, should I use a contact or email?
No, you can give your contact to him later.
Okay.
You can give your contact to him later, but maybe where you are located,
for security reasons,
your organization where you are located, yeah.
Okay, so for more directions, I would love them to just maybe go to our Facebook page. It's called Albinism for Change in Africa Initiative. Then from there, our team will be able to get in touch with them, obviously communicate to them via email, and then talk to them, obviously see how best we can engage on a corporate level. Yes.
Quite interesting. In case you're just joining us, we are discussing World Albinism Day. And so you earlier, alluded to issues of mental health, and on a daily basis, even just this morning, you talked about, facing, that stigma, because that is, a stigma.
Yeah.
How is it accessible mental health services for persons with albinism?
Okay, all right. We as an organization are looking at ways on which we can deal with mental health issues, and so we are organizing a series of webinars as an organization, so that we can be able to identify persons with albinism within our communities whom we can be able to talk to. Because in as much as it does not look serious, there are certain persons with albinism who can't even now go to school because they are afraid of some of these comments, of some of these threats against their lives. I cannot be able to count how many times I've been called names, how many times I've been insulted, how many times I've been called money. I cannot count them. But you know, as I grew up, and obviously with help from different people, different organizations, and some of the words that they've been able to give us, we've been able to go through. But we need to also identify persons with albinism within our community whom we can talk to, because obviously their stamina is getting diminished by the day. They cannot be able to do certain things. Why? Because they're discouraged. So as an organization, we have streamlined a series of mental health issues by working with our programs manager, ensuring that we are able to talk to them, we're able to talk to the community, and just speak to them on how they can help us in terms of encouraging us and ensure that we are not demoralized mentally.
Just still unhealthy. The lack of access to adequate healthy care. You talked about sunscreen, which is very difficult for you to access. But let's talk about those living in the rural areas. Yeah. How best can we help them?
Yeah. So definitely, this is some very beautiful question, and this is why we now call on the government, basically, because as civil society organizations, we cannot do it on our own, and using our own resources, maybe we might be limited. But here is where we ask the government to be able to map some of our people. We can bring up a project where we map persons with albinism in different rural areas, where we can know where they stay, and that will help us in creating policies around security, and not only health, around security, as well as giving them sunscreen. So by giving them sunscreen, at least we know that we are safeguarding lives. I remember we were in Sanfia one time, and I saw this beautiful young girl, but this sore she had was a cancerous sore. And my estimation was that where she was staying and the nearest, clinic was about 2 kilometers. How is she going to walk? No access to a cap, no access to long-sleeved clothing. I could manage those things, but what about those in communities? So that is where our government comes in, with of course including disability organizations. We're able to do a mapping. Here is where this one stays. How many do we have in this area? And then after that, we're able to distribute sunscreen, not only once in a year, but at least maybe, after 3 months, we're able to give some bottles and able to check up on their health. And most importantly, I feel I should also raise this point. We need the government to help us in terms of dermatological services. I think those services are really, really expensive at that stage.
Maybe just give a breakdown for us, like how much
for our viewers there.
Maybe the meals. Is it meals? How many? Maybe 500 meals a bottle. How much is it? Just maybe a breakdown for us to have an idea, or for the audience to have an idea.
Okay, all right. I wouldn't be specific on how much each bottle is, because they come in different ways and different, packagings. But the best would be that the government should engage civil society organizations that deal with albinism, and then they'll be able to recommend a list of some of the products, and not only sunscreen, but then maybe some of the products that we use in order to keep our skin healthy. Definitely.
Quite interesting. Then we do have a message from one of our Facebook viewers who says they need to do advocacy aimed at curtailing traditional doctors. That is where the root problem is.
Yeah, so and I did mention that earlier on, that if we're not dealing with the root cause, how are we going to deal with this issue now to ensure that we protect and safeguard the lives of people living with albinism?
Okay. Yeah. On the issue of maybe dealing with witch doctors and dealing with
because the concern is this is where the whole confusion is coming from, because someone goes to a witch doctor and then they're told, get this body part, get this piece of cloth from what, and bring it to become rich, and sort of that.
Yeah. Well, I should be honest that that would not maybe curb a situation in the sense that when someone is greedy. When someone is greedy, they would go at any extent, whether the witch doctor is local or international. And if we say we should curb witch doctors, they'll definitely go and hide in the bushes somewhere, but still they'll still exist. I think our target should be on protecting individual lives.
And maybe sensitization.
And sensitization. And obviously punitive measures, as I talked about, litigative punitive measures, where people are able to see this is what happened to a person who mutilated a person with albinism. I think evidence must be there. Where I believe in, I believe in justice. So evidence has to be there that this is what happened, so that there is an example that is set out there to say, if you do this, this is what is going to happen to you, whether you know or you don't know. Because sometimes you might be saying the only thing we need is sensitization. Some people do know, actually. They do know that this is a person we are dealing with, but because they're driven by greed, and they want to get rich faster, then they'll do it even at the expense of their life.
Maybe we should approach it from the aspect of like, have they seen anyone who has become rich? Because we hear these stories, but do we see the people getting rich?
Exactly. I've never.
And why is the traditional doctor not rich himself?
Definitely, you see. So those are questions.
Why is he getting my 1,000 kwacha from people doing witchcraft?
Definitely.
These are just scams.
Yeah,
they
definitely.
are definitely scams. In case you're just joining us, we are discussing World Albinism Day, raising awareness on various challenges, being faced by persons with albinism, as well as success stories. So you can leave us messages on Facebook or do call us on the numbers. Miriam?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe just some of your concluding remarks as we, go toward the end of our program this morning. What more you would like to see, and other stakeholders who would come on board just to help put up enough sensitization, enough to raise enough awareness over the same issues, and also maybe to the other issues, maybe to start educating people as they are young, so that they understand.
Maybe from school.
Yeah, from school.
Yeah.
Because many people just depend on what they hear, and what they hear is not true. Those are myths. Someone just say this,
exactly.
Tell the next person that, and that with no real proper information.
Maybe we started from the school part.
Yeah, from the school part.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, because I remember the only time I looked about albinism in my entire course, from grade 1 up to grade 12, was in grade 12 at the end of the biology syllabus, and it was under genetics. So that was just a piece. And obviously it was really boring because we were preparing for the exam, and it's at the end of the topic. I think we need to highlight albinism in a much more simpler and contextual way. I would really love to say this. Once we begin to educate people at a young stage, and once we are able to tell them these are just people, I think we're going to find a more inclusive society, and people are going to be able to relate to us, just like any other, friend. In concluding, I think I would love to speak to the government. You see, what you are seeing here is a person with albinism, and we are not sure what is going to happen to me tomorrow. And if we do not do something about it, we are going to lose another life. We are going to lose other lives. Each and every day, I can't lie to you, we have got persons with albinism who are dying. Imagine if it was your daughter, imagine if it's your child who was just abducted, kidnapped. How would you feel? What could you do? The very same empathy and sympathy is what we want the government to feel for us, because we are limited, our resources are limited, we do not have power to change most of the things because we are underfunded, we do not have enough funding, but it is only in the hands of the government to protect lives, because our issues are life-risking. And so we call on society as well, support us. We are your children, we come from you, and we cannot do it without you. If you see and discover that there's a person who is trying to do something towards another person, please be a neighbor. Try to protect them. There is nothing that we can do, because if we do not protect our people, we'll discover that each and every day we'll be recording a death, each and every day we'll be recording a killing, each and every day we'll be recording, a cancer case. So be a neighbor, protect us. Government, put up certain strategies and implement them for the protection and the safeguarding of persons with albinism.
Now, before I let you go, do you think we should put a non-bailable or bondable offense if someone maybe does an attack on a person with albinism?
This is what I think personally, because when you look at the right to life, fundamentally it is the most important right, because that is where all the other rights hinge on. Like they depend on that very right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different when I'm talking about the freedom of expression, freedom of conscience, all those things. They all depend on one fundamental right, the right to life. And so when you see that some cases are beginning to rise, I think some of the procedures can be suspended in order to protect a much more, to protect a cause, an important cause. So I feel if we could have this offense non-bailable, and if our judges within the legal system, our lawyers within the legal system are abreast, are educated on what can be done, if investigations are done as quickly as possible, and if possible these cases are not delayed. Because I know that the litigation process takes a long time, obviously, to finish. But for the sake of protecting lives, I feel that it is better that these cases are dealt with a certain level of urgency. Our police officers, our spokesperson to the police, I feel we need to make sure that these cases are dealt with the emergency that they deserve. Because why? We are protecting a life. It is an emergency at the hospital. Whenever patients are lined up to go to the hospital and then an emergency comes in, obviously the doctor would want to deal with an emergency to save life. This is what we are calling on the government, save lives, because this issue we are dealing with is an emergency.
Mm-hmm. Quite interesting there. That was our guest, Mr. Maseka
Lumai. You definitely love my name.
It sounds... no, do you know why? Do you know why? Because I'm lost. So I'm going to take it.
Oh, I see.
I'm going to take it because we've got names like Limwanya. So I'm just getting it all wrapped up.
I'll see
yes,
you after
I'm taking it to the Western province there. So anyway, so we were discussing, World Albinism Day and, highlighting issues that are affecting albinism. And I think, as you have heard from our guest, he is a law student, so that is quite a success story. Thank you very much for joining us on set.
Much obliged. Thank you so much.
And I'm sure I will carry on with the day and also maybe cover that event where you are highlighting various issues. Anyway, this is where we do come to the end of our breakfast show this morning. Earlier on, we were discussing trending issues, and just now we are highlighting, World Albinism Awareness Day. Thank you to viewers who joined us, via Facebook, and as well as those who are watching us from that television sets. Remember to join Patrick Soko tomorrow as he takes you into politics. From us, it's have a good morning and happy World Albinism Awareness Day.